Hello and welcome to 10 Questions with the Musical Mind. I'm your host, Peter. Today we're joined by Great White founding member and lead guitarist Mark Kendall. Mark calls in to tell us about his creative process, how he goes about writing songs, how he collaborates with other band members, and his different inspirations over the years. In addition to this, the interesting fact is that this is recorded on July 10th, 2018, and just yesterday on the 9th, I was emailed by the band announcing that their new lead vocalist is Mitch Malloy. Mitch Malloy has a long history here in rock, and many of you know, and he was actually a brief member of Van Halen before their failed 1996 reunion attempt with David Lee Roth. So Mitch has got a storied career of his own and a great vocalist, so I'm looking forward to that collaboration. So anyway, let's dig into this conversation with Mark and see what he has to offer. Hello, Mark. How are you today?
Doing great. Thanks a lot, Peter.
Great. Thank you so much for taking the time out to talk with us. I appreciate it.
No problem. Glad to do it.
I just want to go over some things about your creative process and how you've worked, done your craft over the years. I got 10 questions for you. Question number one, I know in interviews in the past you've mentioned how much of a melody guy you are. In the writing process, do you tend to come up with the vocal melody for Great White stuff, or are you leaving that to the vocalist, or how does that work?
In the early days I did. That's the way we wrote is I would, and we all came up with musical pieces, Michael and I, and mainly Michael and I would come up with the musical. In the early days, I wrote all the music for the band, but when I would come up with a riff or whatever, Jack would ask me, well, how does it go, and I'd just hum melodies to him, and he would kind of fill in the dots, with words.
Gotcha.
That's how we did it. That way worked the best, and then he would, twist and turn the melody a little bit, and,
sure.
Make it his own or whatever, but I couldn't really hand him music and just say, go write a song, He kind of wanted to know, what was I hearing there?
I gotcha.
So I don't just throw chords together and, kind of hit and hope. I know that there's, many things available vocally that you can do that and have it be tasty.
Sure, and that's always, because that's different, I think, with some groups the vocalist is totally coming up with the vocal melody. In some groups it's kind of a put together process. In some bands it's the guitar players coming up with the melody and the guitar part. So it's always interesting to see how it differs with each group. Yeah.
One thing I've never done is came with the lyrics first and then wrote music to the lyrics. I don't know how people do that. I know Elton John does it that way, but
I think that's more of a case of Bernie Taupin writing the lyrics for him.
Sure.
That seems
kind of forced into that. But.
Right, that seems kind of strange to me. Like you've got this, then you've got to come up with this whole arrangement around a set of words. Yeah, but I guess different people, different strokes. I don't know.
Yeah, that seems like it'd be way more challenging than to come up with a melody and or come up with a musical piece and then you kind of feel what it's saying in a way,
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Instead of the other way around, it seems like it'd be impossible to me.
Yeah, it's like...
I've never tried it.
Here you go, Mark, write a song around the phone book.
Right, it's like, man, that'd be really challenging, I would think.
Exactly. Number two, does that process of coming up with melodies, does it differ significantly with different singers? Like... Terry, as opposed to how you worked with Jack in the past, and of course the big news, you probably haven't had a chance to really set the standard yet, but you've got Mitch Malloy on board, who's a fantastic vocalist. I don't imagine you probably have a system in place with him yet, but is that process different with different singers?
He's a musician. Terry is Jack was mainly just a singer, and Terry was a songwriter. That's the difference. So
gotcha.
I could actually hand Terry, maybe show him a couple melodies that I have, but he would come back with something totally different that would blow me away.
Right.
And that happened more than once. So that was the difference. I could just hand him music and have him go home and come back with something that I was like, excited about. So, but I think that had to do with, he plays guitar pretty good. He writes songs and
right, which makes a big difference.
That's different. So Jack couldn't play guitar, so but he had that wonderful voice, So
sure.
It was a situation when you're in a band, people's strengths and weaknesses, and you just work around all that and just do the best you can,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
so it's a different situation. It depends on who you're working with.
Now, Mitch plays a little bit of guitar, doesn't he?
Yeah, I believe he does.
Yeah,
I think he plays keyboards, guitar. He's an engineer. He does a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to hearing that. I mean, Full Circle and, Elation before that, which I think was 2012. I mean, you've had such strong stuff recently, and I'm definitely looking forward because, like I said, I'm familiar with Mitch from the years past.
We gave him some older tracks, and we gave him some newer stuff, and he put vocals on it, and that's what kind of got him the gig.
Awesome. Well, I'll be looking forward to hearing it for sure. So you personally, how much has your setup changed over the years as far as guitars, amps? I mean, stuff you were using from the first, Into the Fire or Once Bitten all the way up to Full Circle. I mean, how much has your rig changed over the years? A lot or not much?
It seems like when I go off and do, like I did a couple of records away from Great White, and I like to use my Fender Bassman. I don't know. It just seems to fit the bluesier stuff better. It's more of a true, absolute, tube saturation type of a deal.
Right.
To where in Great White, I like the same thing, but not as traditional as I do when I do a side project. But now I've been using the Kemper, and I'm just getting deep into it now, and I'm so blown away by the Kemper. I can't believe it.
Yeah,
Michael Wagner turned me onto the Kemper, and I was totally ignorant to what a Kemper was at the time. This was like a little over a year ago, year and a half ago or so. And I go, well, what is this thing, Because I saw the machine, and it was a small little box, and what is this, like an amp farm or something? I go, I want to play through amps, I'm like, I like the speakers and, and all that. He's going, well, just try it. He goes, this is like real amplifier profiling to where all the sound waves, like you can't tell the difference and all this stuff. So I go, okay, I'll try it. I was blown away, like, after 3 chords. I'm going, I can't believe it, man. Right. I sound like Angus Young or something.
Well, and it's
let me see another amp. Let me hear some more.
I think it's funny because you let the technology catches up with you because, when you first started talking about, or when the industry started talking about amp modeling and stuff, and I was immediately thinking back in the day, like Tom Schultz with the Rockmen with his Boston stuff, and and like direct to board recording, and then I think some of that original modeling probably, was probably impressive for the time, but it was still pretty transparent and didn't have an analog sound. But times catch up, and it finally gets to the point where that technology's actually just kick ass, and
it's unreal. And the guy that invented, I don't know his name, I suppose maybe Kemper, I don't know, but he literally stayed at Wagner's for a week, and they went through everything and got the best way to record with it and everything. And I'm blown away that it's so far past like Amp Farm or whatever, because it's not real profiling. This is like, it's so close, and you can push the tubes. I mean, there's a lot of things going on here. It's pretty mind blowing.
Yeah, that'd be fun to have all the toys. Yeah, definitely.
Everybody's using them too. It's like,
really?
We played with a band. I think it was Skid Row the other night. There's like 3 campers on the stage, and so Queens Ride campers. Everybody's using it, or starting to at least.
Maybe I should have bought stock in Kemper. Yeah.
Man, not a bad idea, because it really is starting to snowball.
Right? I don't know. I'll look that up. Now, when you're writing a song, did you personally, I know your songs start. Do they usually start as a riff or a chord progression for you, or something in between?
Sometimes it's a riff. It usually happens when I know that we're doing a record like in 2 months or something, and so I walk around my house. I have the acoustic guitar with me like everywhere I go. I don't go, okay, I'm gonna go write a song in the music room or something.
Right.
I just have the guitar. I might be watching TV, and then something will poke out that's an obvious thing I want to work on. I'm going, like, where'd that come from? This is too cool. So I'll work on that, and it might become a verse or something. If it becomes a verse, I will work on that verse until I think it's completely handled, and then maybe put that on tape, on my phone or micro cassette or something, so I don't forget it, and then go on to maybe what I would feel that would be good for the next part, like B section, pre-chorus, or whatever you want to call it, and work on that until that's like totally insane, and then sometimes it won't come to me, so I'll just keep that initial riff. And I really became, just from writing riffs and getting lazy and not putting it on tape right then, I would be able to get back to it, but it never seemed to have the same rhythmical quality that it had when I was vibrating a certain way.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I could usually get back close to the riff, but so I found that I have to put things down right when I come up with it.
Yeah.
So I can always get back there. But
you end up
I'll
with
walk around and I'm just like a zombie. I have riffs in my head. Because I know we're going to record, so the pressure's on a little bit. So that's when I really get in writing mode. And
are you the type of guy that has 1,000 riffs on tape somewhere that you haven't used, or do you end up using most things?
There's so much. I have a box just full of cassette tapes with old stuff. Sometimes I'll go through it and go, holy crap, I forgot all about that.
Right.
Even stuff from like our very first album outtakes, you know what I mean?
Wow.
That didn't quite make it, or the part of the problem I used to have sometimes, the band would shoot down a thing, but only because they couldn't hear what was in my head.
Sure, that makes sense.
So I'm hearing like orchestration here. I know what is possible, and sometimes they'll go, "Oh, I don't like that," and I'm like, "God!" But so I would sometimes, if I really loved a riff and I didn't want it, I didn't want them to take the elephant gun to it, I would go into a studio, like a 24-track studio, and like record the thing all the way through with drums and everything, and go check this riff out,
Right.
Instead, just to eliminate the risk of them, shooting down my raw riff.
Just because they didn't see it,
right? It wouldn't have happened had I not done that.
That makes sense. Do you still listen to your early musical heroes like Santana? I mean, or like I should say exclusively, or have your tastes spread out over the years, or do you still listen to a lot of the first people you got into?
I still go back. I still listen to Still Alive and Well, like when I'm on my treadmill, I'll listen to old Santana. Yesterday I watched the Woodstock Soul Sacrifice again.
Right.
It's like, there's certain performances, and the funny thing about Woodstock was these bands only played like 4 songs a piece,
Right.
You figure they did an hour and a half, but no, they played like 4 songs.
Isn't that funny?
So it's really strange how legendary the performances are, and they just went up there and just kind of winging it. And you got like Hendrix at 10 in the morning when they're picking up trash, and he does the most beautiful musical piece. I guess it's called something. It could even be a cover, but the way he plays it's I've never heard melodies so gorgeous, and guitar playing like that when he's just up there at 10 in the morning. I mean, it's just crazy good.
It's funny
that Soul Sacrifice performance was
and the drummer, Santana's drummer was insane in that.
and he's only 20 there.
Right.
I can't think of his name right now, but Carlos Santana, actually, I asked about him on a KLOS Rockline one time, and I got Carlos to answer about where Shreve. Shreve was his last name, but
yes.
I can't think of his first name, but he said he's off. He's doing projects all the time, sessions, jazz stuff, But yeah, that drum solo was absolutely. He was blowing away the black dudes in his band. I mean, they were looking at him like, "Go, boy!"
Oh yeah, he's killer. He's just.
I mean, it was badass. It was just stupid.
Yeah, I mean, just killing it. When you first started learning guitar, were you learning from? Learning from records, because at that time, it's all you could do was just put the vinyl on and try to slow it down if you could or whatever. But were you attempting lead right away, or did you spend a year or two just learning rhythm and chords? Or
the first I learned chords from like neighbors and stuff that were more advanced and knew chords.
Right.
And I learned 3 or 4 chords, and then kind of realized these chords are like in all these songs like Gloria, and I go, God, man, I know E, D, G, and A, and it's like Gloria is like E, D, A, you know what I mean? So I know these 3 chords, and that, so I was able to pick it up that way, and then kind of was able to, because of my ear, when I was 5 years old, I used to sing with my parents' records, and I could pick up on the melody like right away, so I was able to like listen to Secret Agent Man and like pick it up, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. So the first song I kind of learned off a record, I think, was "For Your Love" by the Yardbirds.
Yeah.
But when I played in my 4th grade class with another guitar player, we just played Pipeline, Wipeout, Secret Agent Man, and Gloria. Those 4, because they all, I believe, apart from Gloria, they all had like 2 guitar parts. So that was kind of cool.
That reminds me of the songs you're talking about. The first song I learned to play was my dad taught me "Walk Don't Run."
Oh, great song!
Yeah,
great song. Yeah. Great song.
Walk
Don't Run.
And you've talked about him earlier. I would ask you the next question: how was working with Michael Wagner again? Because when you guys first worked together, neither one of you were really household names in rock.
Right.
But now you're both seasoned pros with decades behind you. So how was it kind of, hence the name Full Circle, I guess, but how was it getting back with him again? Like, was the dynamic changed or the same, or?
It was wonderful right out of the gate. When we first worked with him, he just came to America and he'd only done Accept and I believe a Dokken demo type record or something, Breaking the Chains, but it wasn't even the final thing. It was awesome. We just clicked right away with personality wise, because I was wondering how I was going to feel like sitting in front of this guy. I hoped I wasn't going to feel intimidated, but his personality made me feel totally comfortable.
Cool.
So that wasn't even an issue, and he's such a great guy. Taskmaster, the whole nine. He's done so many iconic records, 100 million sold and all that. So, and he's pretty humble, but he knows what he's doing. And, I've kind of followed his career, and I even told him that, even though we weren't working together, because I just found it kind of impressive that he still works on learning things, and does all these workshops and listens to other engineers, like maybe a new miking drum technique, and just little things, troubleshooting this and that, inventing things that get rid of buzz, and
Well, I think he would have to keep
he's pretty crazy.
You have to keep learning, because, I mean, when you guys were starting, when he was starting, I mean, you're talking 4-track studios with 2-inch tape, or 8-track studios, and then you go to your Studer analog boards, and then you go digital, and it's been a constant progression. So
sure, Yeah, so his studio is so massive and awesome. He's got so much outboard gear, just absolutely nuts. But he's got like 70 guitars, so
Wow.
he's really a nice guy. And I knew it was going to be special, so we hired a film crew and just had them film like the whole 2 months. So we got a lot of stuff on tape.
Well, I wish more bands
or
would do that.
Digital recording.
I love stuff like that. I love just
just so we could document it.
Yeah.
We were not prepared when we went there. Like he's totally not used to that. So, but I told him, don't worry, we'll make it work. We didn't have the lyrics done.
Well, I've seen the footage of you guys sitting in the studio and bouncing the lyrics off each other, like, oh yeah, let's go with that, and or maybe try more this way.
We're writing lyrics like while videotapes are rolling.
Right. Yeah, I've seen that.
It's pretty nuts. But by him doing one song at a time, that allowed us to cram the night before. Once we finished the basic tracks, we knew the song we were going to do the next day, and that's the way he records. He finishes a song all the way after you do the drums and bass.
Gotcha. So you're not doing 9 rhythm tracks.
I'm not doing 5 rhythm tracks and bragging to my friends how many rhythm tracks I did.
Right.
One thing I like about that way of recording is you automatically want to get a different guitar sound.
Sure.
Oh, what sound would be good for this song? Well, let's try this, let's try that.
Right.
To where when you do 5 rhythm tracks in one day, you might just keep the same sound.
Because you don't want to spend an extra 2 hours dialing in something different. You just plow into the next rhythm track. Yeah, that totally makes sense.
It kind of makes you do that,
Right. And you've always had, great chops and good amount of restraint on guitar. And what I was noticing off Full Circle, like songs like Cry of a Nation, your playing is pretty sparse in parts. Like you really let the song breathe and build.
We talked about that later. That's the only song I felt like more could have happened with the orchestration on that song. With, I don't know if it was noises missing, some kind of atmospheric things. We could have spent more time on that.
Well, I can see that, but I'm thinking as far as like you knowing when to not play was really indicative of a mature player. And my question was, do you think you would have approached that song the same way 25 years ago, or you've done more fills to try to fill up the space? Because I'm thinking most players would have.
Well, I would have probably played more, especially when I was like 17.
Sure.
Because when I was younger, playing I'm Going Home, like note for note and all that, I was kind of in the note race,
right.
part of my life,
I think that's
normal.
normal.
I always had that melody thing. I always loved it, all cool vocal melodies and, cool riffs and stuff. But I was, into the Flight of the Bumblebee type
right.
stuff.
Well, I was going to ask.
I remember Dave Mustaine, because Dave Mustaine went to high school with my little brother. And he told my brother, he goes, I'm so much faster than your brother. It's like, the fastest is the best.
Right.
Then. But, I just kind of play for the song. I don't really, I don't think like, God, if I don't play this and this, I won't be able to tell people how great I am.
Sure.
I just think, my thinking is like, what can I do to make this song the best possible,
Right. I almost think that
let me try this,
I think constant fills are maybe more of a insecurity of a younger player because they feel like they need to fill up space. But, I asked that question, but you always knew how to let a song breathe a little bit, because even like going back to one of my favorites off of, I think Hooked was Congo Square. And, you let some empty spots in there too, and you let it kind of build up and then jump in with some tasteful bends and stuff. So you've always kind of had that good restraint on the guitar leads.
I know other players play dynamic like that, but sometimes, I'd be playing a rehearsal, and in the early days, I would just like hear myself. Like I wasn't really listening to the band. I mean, I wasn't like off with the drummer or anything. I was playing with the drums, but I wasn't like listening to them, or things change, and like I said, you mature a little bit, but I don't mind hearing air. I think it's pretty cool, like, you know, just that space thing, you know, like when you're not playing, it's, if you do it in the right spots, it can be pretty cool.
Right, it builds tension. It's
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I guess that's why you don't have a horror movie where, you know, Freddy Krueger's just chasing you nonstop for an hour and a half. You have to stop and have pauses and
Yeah.
and builds and
Yeah.
releases, or it just doesn't affect you the same.
It really sucks you in. I mean, you know, all the greats have it.
Yeah,
You know, songs that are just massive hits. You know, it'll probably have that in it. But I got it kind of from just jamming, just, you know, not playing in this one spot where I'd normally play, and just to try it, and it's like, God, that's so much better than playing in that other spot. You know what I mean?
right.
And that's kind of how I came upon that, and then
Yeah.
I just kind of incorporated that into my style, sort of.
Yeah, it's really good. It's and you know, with you guys touring, you guys stay busy touring. Do you come up with song ideas on the road, or when you're on a tour, are you basically focused on the set list and I'll worry about new ideas when I'm off the road?
Mostly off the road.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I would come up with something on the road, but it was kind of rare. Like, I didn't bring out recording gear on the road like some people do.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
I would kind of wait till I got home, and I do better when I have the pressure of knowing we're gonna go in the studio. That's when I get into that mode of, you know,
That makes sense.
okay, you know.
That totally makes sense. Yeah. Do you have any kind of? My last question is: do you have any kind of non-musical sources of creative inspiration for you? Like, I mean, obviously everybody loves listening to music and spurring ideas.
Yeah.
But is there anything like a favorite movie or you know, something like that that's
One
inspired
thing
ideas?
that is really inspires me, only because it takes so much focus and everything. I don't know if I totally relate it to music, but just discipline, and that's playing like world-class pool. You know, like I played in the World Championships last year, and you know, playing these guys, and they're so it's like a staying still contest. You know what I mean? The guy that gets nervous and jumps up or has extra movement is probably going to lose the match. You know what I mean? So it takes so much discipline to stay still and control your nerves and everything. And I just kind of relate that to where when we're on TV playing or something, or, you know, where it's more of an intimate setting, that always used to make me a little more nervous than playing for like 300,000 people.
Right.
If I was playing like with the MTV cameras or like focusing in on my fingernails, you know.
I've heard that from
kind of
multiple
made me
musicians.
nervous, and I relate that to pool in the sense of, you know, you're in the finals and you're playing this great player, and you got to make this shot, and, you know,
I can
are
see
you going
that.
to choke, or are you going to stay down and handle it?
It's
know?
the same thing.
So-
It's performing under pressure, so it's kind of the same
Yeah,
thing.
so if you're performing under pressure, and it's usually an intimate setting. I remember I was nervous. I played at a wedding with Michael Anthony, and there was probably only like 50 people,
Mm-hmm.
and that made me like a nervous wreck, you know.
Really?
But I got through that, and, you know, there's something about playing my acoustic guitar in a living room for 10 people, and it's like coffee flying out my nose, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know why that rattles me, playing for more of an intimate situation.
You're not the first person I've heard that from, but yeah, I've heard other musicians tell me like, oh, I hate it when I'm at a small gig and I know that there's several people out there I know, I get nervous.
Yeah, you got to get that out of your head and just play. And I learned how to do that. You know, I just kind of you know, zen out before the show, and then go out and you know, usually do good. But yeah, you just learn how to play with when there's pressure like that. But
Sure.
I'm usually, I always get a little bit nervous before a show, but it's more like adrenaline nervous, not like a nervous wreck.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. which
So
is a good
I
thing.
think that's just part of adrenaline. If you don't have that, you're probably not going to play good.
Yeah. The and that was basically all I had on the questions, but I wanted to touch base again since you guys just announced the news yesterday. Do you have any immediate plans going forward with Mitch Malloy? Or is the plan just gel with each other for a bit and think about recording some new music, or?
Yeah. We haven't really talked about it yet, but I've thought about it. And I think we should get new music with Mitch on it, and just so he's not just learning songs at some point, get in the studio.
Right.
We have a lot of shows though booked, so we'll feel each other out, do some shows, starting to get close, as friends wise and band wise and all that, and then we'll start getting comfortable. We'll start talking about getting in the studio and making a record and stuff like that.
Right, and it could be interesting since he's has some engineering experience and he's a musician too. That gives you an extra dynamic of maybe him having an idea of what works well as far as orchestration and that kind of thing, and
it'd be
what's
interesting
easy.
to see his input.
Right, because if you have
I know
no
he's
clue,
an engineer. I know he has his own studio. He's recorded Taylor Swift and all this stuff. So
right,
like he has a lot of experience in the studio.
yeah, he'd probably have a better sense of, we can totally layer this over that and it'll work because I can fade this into the bridge section before we go into here, and that might be a different aspect, but so that's cool. Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
I'll be interested to hear it. I'm a fan. He's got a good voice. It's a good rock voice, and he seems like a nice guy from what I've seen. So.
Yeah, he does. He seems pretty humble. It seems like he all that humble leaves him when he gets on stage. So that's what we want.
Sure. Yeah.
Big energy.
Yeah, they don't have any polls for most humble frontman, so you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's not.
You got to get cocky out there,
right? Yeah. Yeah. Nobody ever accused that of the main guys, but anyway, it's been really, really fascinating hearing the answers, and I appreciate you spending time with us on all this.
All right, Peter. My pleasure, man.
Absolutely,
Hopefully,
it's been an honor.
The show comes out good.
Definitely. Now, before we go, of course, I'll put links up to your website and all that. Do you want to tell everybody where they can go to, if they haven't gotten full circle and all that yet, which they should have by now? But
all you have to do is just go to if you want the music only, you can go to all the download platforms. The Amazon, iTunes, and all that. And if you want to just download the music from Full Circle, if you want the DVD as well as the CD, it's a 2-disc set, and it's available on our website, officialgreatwhite.com.
Right.
And you can watch us make the record, which it's funny because we've never allowed a soul in the studio when we're recording, and now we filmed the whole thing.
And now you're releasing it all right.
Yeah, but I mean, it'll be, I think, hopefully fun for the fans to look at that and just see how we, because we, like I said, we weren't totally prepared, so they're going to see a little bit of changing ideas and trying this and trying that,
I think you're on there. There's a lot of fans, and I'm definitely including this, that I love raw making of type footage of just the ins and outs of. Let me try this on this guitar.
I got the idea from I saw a Deep Purple one about 8 years ago, and it was the making of Machine Head.
Right.
But it was done 25 years after they made it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so interesting to watch the bass player pushing up one fader at a time, going listen to this Blackmore part. I was just I was so blown away by that and the whole story behind that album, that I just thought, we're with Wagner. This is going to be a special thing. Let's roll cameras.
Right, because there's some bands who are major bands and do not have much in the way of documentation like that, and it's a shame. But so I'm glad you guys did that. But and I also want to mention, in addition to that, if people go to your website, officialgreatwhite.com, they can also check out your live dates coming up. So if you guys are coming to a city near you, you need to go check it out.
Yeah, our tour days, so we have T-shirts and all that kind of stuff on there. So it's pretty much anything you want to know or want it's on that website, officialgreatwhite.com.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate it, Mark. It's been an honor.
Awesome, Peter.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation with Mark Kendall of Great White. He had a lot of neat information to share. And as well, be sure to check out the website. That's Peter's Principles. That's peters-principles.com, where in addition to lots of exclusive interviews, I've got unique articles and lots of music-related stuff. So be sure to check us out there. And thanks again for joining us.